Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Everyday English Stories. Imagine this. You are standing in an empty apartment, surrounded by cardboard boxes, bubble wrap, and furniture covered in protective plastic. The smell of fresh paint fills the air, and sunlight streams through bare windows onto hardwood floors. Today, we're going to experience the adventure of moving to a new home and learn some practical English expressions along the way. 3 weeks ago, I decided it was time to move to a new apartment. My old place had become too small, and I was ready for a change of scenery. The first step was apartment hunting, which can be both exciting and exhausting. I spent hours scrolling through rental websites looking at photos of different apartments and comparing prices. Some places looked perfect in pictures but turned out to be disappointing in person. After viewing about 15 apartments, I finally found the perfect one. It was a cozy 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a brick building with large windows, a small balcony, and a modern kitchen. The landlord, Mrs. Chen, was very friendly and professional. During the apartment tour, she explained, "The previous tenant took excellent care of this place. The appliances are all fairly new, and we just repainted the walls last month." I filled out the rental application immediately and provided references from my previous landlord and my employer. Within 2 days, Mrs. Prassens Chen called me with good news. "Congratulations, your application has been approved. You can move in next month," she said cheerfully. I was thrilled, but also realized that the real work was just beginning. The next challenge was organizing the actual move. I had to decide whether to hire professional movers or ask friends to help. Professional movers are expensive but efficient, while asking friends is cheaper but requires more coordination. I decided to compromise. I hired movers for the heavy furniture and asked my friends to help with smaller items and boxes. 2 weeks before moving day, I started the packing process. Let me tell you, packing is much more time-consuming than you might expect. I went through every closet, drawer, and cabinet deciding what to keep, what to donate, and what to throw away. It's amazing how much stuff accumulates over the years. I found clothes I hadn't worn in ages, books I'd forgotten I owned, and random objects that somehow had sentimental value. I learned the importance of labeling boxes clearly. Writing kitchen, fragile, or bedroom, clothes on each box saved me hours of confusion later. I also discovered that you can never have too much packing tape or bubble wrap. Every electronic device, piece of glassware, and fragile decoration needed careful wrapping. Moving day finally arrived, and it was a whirlwind of activity. The moving truck pulled up at 8 in the morning, and 3 professional movers began loading my furniture efficiently. Meanwhile, my friends arrived with their cars to transport the smaller boxes. My best friend Jake brought coffee and donuts for everyone, which was incredibly thoughtful. The movers were impressive to watch. They wrapped my sofa in thick blankets, carefully maneuvered my refrigerator down narrow stairs, and somehow managed to fit everything into the truck like a giant puzzle. One of the movers, Carlos, explained their process. "We always load the heaviest items first, then fill in the gaps with boxes and smaller furniture. It's all about balance and using space efficiently." At the new apartment, the unloading process began. This is where having clearly labeled boxes really paid off. We could direct everything to the correct room immediately. The movers placed the large furniture exactly where I wanted it, and my friends helped carry boxes upstairs. By early afternoon, everything was inside my new home. But moving day was just the beginning. The next few weeks involved unpacking, which is like solving a 3-dimensional puzzle. I had to figure out where everything would fit in my new space. Some furniture that looked perfect in my old apartment seemed too large for the new rooms. I had to rearrange things several times before finding the right configuration. One of the most enjoyable parts was decorating and making the space feel like home. I hung pictures on the walls, arranged books on shelves, and placed plants near the windows. Slowly but surely, the empty apartment transformed into a warm, inviting living space. My friends came over for a housewarming party, and we ordered pizza while sitting on the floor, laughing about the chaos of moving day. The whole experience taught me several valuable lessons. First, start planning much earlier than you think you need to. Second, decluttering before you move saves time, money, and stress. Third, don't be afraid to ask for help. Most people are happy to lend a hand, especially if you provide food and drinks. And finally, be patient with yourself during the adjustment period. It takes time to feel completely settled in a new place. Now, here are some useful words and phrases from today's story. Apartment hunting, the process of looking for a new place to live. Change of scenery, a different environment or location. Rental application, the form you fill out to request to rent a property. References, people who can speak positively about your character or reliability. Landlord, the person who owns rental property. Tenant, a person who rents and lives in someone else's property. Professional movers, people whose job is to help others move their belongings. Coordination, organizing people and activities efficiently. Compromise, finding a middle solution between different options. Time-consuming, taking a lot of time to complete. Accumulates, gradually collects or builds up over time. Sentimental value, emotional importance beyond practical worth. Fragile, easily broken or damaged. Whirlwind, something that happens very quickly and intensely. Maneuvered, moved something carefully through a difficult space. Efficiently, in a way that achieves maximum results with minimum waste. Configuration, the arrangement of things in a particular way. Housewarming party, a celebration when someone moves to a new home. Decluttering, getting rid of things you don't need. Lend a hand, to help someone. Adjustment period, the time it takes to get used to a new situation. Let's practice using these words in sentences. I spent 3 months apartment hunting before finding the right place. Moving to a new city was exactly the change of scenery I needed. The landlord requires 2 references before approving any rental application. Professional movers can pack and transport your belongings in 1 day. Packing is very time-consuming, so start early. Over the years, a lot of unnecessary items accumulate in your home. Handle that box carefully. It contains fragile dishes. We need to find a more efficient way to organize these files. After trying several arrangements, we found the perfect furniture configuration. My grandmother's ring has great sentimental value to me. We're having a housewarming party next weekend to celebrate our new home. Decluttering before moving made the whole process much easier. Could you lend a hand with carrying these boxes upstairs? Moving to a new home is one of life's major transitions, and it's a perfect opportunity to practice descriptive English. Try describing your own living space, or imagine your dream home and explain what makes it special. Notice how we use specific adjectives to paint a clear picture: cozy, spacious, bright, modern, or traditional. That's all for today's episode of Everyday English Stories. Moving can be stressful, but it's also an adventure and a chance for a fresh start. Whether you're moving across town or across the world, remember that home is ultimately what you make of it. Next time, we'll explore another everyday situation and continue building your English vocabulary together. Thanks for listening. And remember, every new word you learn is like adding a new tool to your language toolkit. Keep practicing, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.